I love my father, I love my brother, I love my family. I always do. Nothing of what I've done in this book or otherwise has ever been any intention to harm them.
Ever since Prince Harry stepped away from royal duties in 2020, controversies have followed him. But the latest news takes things to a new level. Just moments ago, reports emerged about a devastating news involving Harry. This time, it's not about family disputes. According to sources, he's caught in another controversy that could affect his public image and future plans. It involves matters that go beyond the usual headlines. But what is this news? And what does it mean for Prince Harry and Meghan? Join us as we uncover the latest developments surrounding Prince Harry. Devastating news about Prince Harry. A court has recently ruled on Prince Harry's dispute over alleged drug use and its impact on his visa. This case had been in court for a while, and the judgment is not what many expected. It has left the public in shock. But before we reveal what the court decided, let's first look at how it all began. Stay tuned. When Prince Harry released his memoir Spare in January 2023, it wasn't just the family drama that got attention. People also noticed something else. He openly talked about using drugs. In the book, Harry said he had used cocaine when he was a teenager, smoked marijuana, and even took psychedelic mushrooms during a party in California. Those details didn't seem important at first. But in the United States, drug use can be a serious issue when it comes to immigration. Admitting to taking illegal drugs, even in the past, can be enough to stop someone from getting a visa. That's when a U.S. group, the Heritage Foundation, stepped in. They wanted to know how Harry got his visa to live in the U.S. and whether he had told the truth on his application. The Heritage Foundation is a conservative group based in Washington, D.C. In 2023, they filed a lawsuit against the Department of Homeland Security. They wanted Harry's visa records made public. Their argument was simply that Harry admitted to drug use in his book, and if he didn't include that information on his visa forms, then either he got special treatment or he lied. Either way, they said, the public had a right to know the truth. Harry had been living in California since 2020 after stepping down from royal duties. He had likely entered the country on an O1 visa, which is given to people who show extraordinary ability in their work. The visa allowed him to live and work in the U.S., but it also raised questions. Normally, people who admit to drug use are denied entry. So how did he get in? The answers might just surprise you. The Heritage Foundation first tried to get answers by filing public records requests. They asked the Department of Homeland Security to share Harry's immigration paperwork, but the Department of Homeland Security refused because it was private information. In response, the foundation took them to court. The lawsuit claimed that since Harry himself shared these personal details in his book, his privacy no longer applied in this case. One lawyer, working with the Heritage Foundation, went even further. He said that if Harry had not been honest on his visa forms, then his visa should be cancelled. He even said Harry should self-deport, in other words, leave the country on his own. Other legal experts joined the conversation. Some said that even if Harry had admitted to drug use, he could have received a waiver. These waivers are sometimes given to people who are seen as low risk or have strong reasons to visit or stay in the U.S. Still, others said that if Harry hadn't told the full truth, his visa could be in trouble. After several months, a federal judge made a decision. The court said the Department of Homeland Security did not have to release Harry's immigration file. The judge explained that even though Harry is a public figure, he still has a right to privacy. The court also said that there wasn't enough public interest to break that rule, so the lawsuit ended without any major answers. The public never saw Harry's visa records. There was no clear proof that he had lied, and no proof that he had received special treatment. But the lawsuit is not the only devastating news. There have also been serious reports of internal conflict within Centebale, the charity Prince Harry co-founded in 2006 with Prince Siso of Lesotho. The organization, once seen as a deeply personal mission tied to Harry's early adult years, now faces deep fractures from within. In early 2025, Dr. Sophie Chandauka, the chair of Centebale, publicly raised concerns about serious problems within the charity. She reported issues like poor management, misuse of power, bullying, and discrimination, including sexism and racism. She spoke out because she cared about keeping the charity honest and doing the right thing for the young people it helps. She said it was important to be open and fair, and that she was only trying to protect what the charity stands for. According to her, the problems had gone on too long and had reached a point where the damage could no longer be fixed. Just days after the public learned about these issues, Prince Harry and Prince stepped away from their roles as patrons. Sentabali said their leadership was being paused indefinitely. There was no mention of when, or if, they might return. The word pause didn't sound temporary. It felt final. It was the end of an era for a charity that had once symbolized their shared commitment to helping vulnerable children in southern Africa. The story of Sentabali began nearly 2 decades earlier, in 2006. During his gap year, Harry visited Lesotho and met children struggling with HIV and poverty. That trip changed him. Together with Prince Seeiso, he launched the charity to support those children, providing education, mental health services, and care. They named it Sentabali, which means forget-me-not in Sesotho, to honor both their mothers and the children often left behind. From the start, both princes took active roles. They didn't just lend their names, they traveled to Lesotho and Botswana, hosted fundraising events, and spoke publicly about the cause. Their involvement gave Sentabali global visibility. It was one of Harry's longest-standing charitable commitments, seen as deeply personal and emotionally important to him. But in late 2024, things began to shift. Harry, who had once been front and center at major events, was no longer showing up. Fundraisers passed without his presence. Official communications from the charity became quieter and more cautious. There were no formal announcements, but those who followed the charity closely noticed that something wasn't right. The energy had changed, and the leadership looked unstable. Then came the chair's public message that pulled no punches. She called the internal environment devastating and said the situation was beyond repair. Following her comment, reporters began questioning how such a respected charity could fall apart so quickly. Many are asking whether Harry had been aware of the issues, and if so, why he had stayed silent. Meanwhile, Prince Harry has not said anything publicly about the situation. His silence has surprised many people, especially since he often talks about mental health and being open. Both his supporters and critics are wondering why he hasn't spoken up. Beyond the legal matters in the US and the internal problems at Sentabal, Prince Harry is also facing challenges with the royal family. Since stepping back from royal duties in 2020, many believe Harry should lose his royal titles. But how did this situation start, and what does it really mean for Harry? Stay tuned, because you're about to discover some untold truths about Prince Harry's journey. Will Prince Harry lose his royal titles? Ever since Prince Harry and his wife, Meghan Markle, moved away from royal functions in March 2020, they haven't stopped criticizing the royal family. As a result, there have been calls for them to be stripped of their royal titles. The call first came from British political figure Nigel Farage. He has often said that Harry and Meghan do not deserve to be called the Duke and Duchess of Sussex anymore. In many interviews and speeches, Farage said that they had shown disrespect to the monarchy by sharing private matters with the public. He also pointed out that they were using their royal names while speaking badly about the very institution that gave them those titles. For him, this kind of behavior was not just unfair, it was damaging to the image of the crown. Farage believed that if they wanted to live freely and speak their minds, they should do so without the privilege that comes with royal titles. That idea was shared by Lady Colin Campbell, a royal writer who had studied the family for years. In 2020, she took it further and launched a petition. Her goal was to gather support from the public and send a clear message to the palace. In her petition, she said that Harry and Meghan were using their royal titles for their personal gain, while speaking against the royal system. She felt that if they had chosen to leave their duties, then the titles should also be taken away. To her, keeping the titles while attacking the institution was dishonest. The petition quickly gathered attention, with many people signing it to show their agreement. This conversation grew as time passed. Several opinion polls in the UK showed that many people supported the idea of removing Harry and Meghan's titles. One such survey by YouGov found that after certain interviews and public statements, support for them dropped every time a new piece of media was released, whether it was a podcast, an interview, or a documentary. For those on the side of the monarchy, these interviews seemed like attacks. The more Harry and Meghan spoke openly about their royal past, the more some people felt they were turning their backs on the family. This rise in negative feelings showed that the issue wasn't just political. It had reached the general public, who began to see the titles as symbols being misused. In several interviews, especially the one with Oprah Winfrey, Harry and Meghan spoke about what they said were painful experiences within the royal household. They discussed matters of race, mental health, and lack of support. While some praised their honesty, others believed they had crossed a line because it was wrong to share such private details while still holding royal titles. But it didn't end there. Things got worse after Harry released his book, Spare, in January 2023. In it, he wrote about his family in a way that shocked many readers. He talked about arguments, fights, and painful memories. He also claimed that some family members showed favoritism and treated Meghan unfairly. There were also parts that touched on race and how the press was handled. These stories, told from Harry's side, were seen by many as strong blows to the royal image. After the book came out, more people joined the call for their titles to be removed. The book was the final proof that Harry no longer respected the monarchy and therefore should not carry its name. Despite all the public and political pressure, Buckingham Palace has stayed silent. There has been no sign that the king or their advisors plan to take away Harry and Meghan's titles. The palace has followed its usual approach of not commenting on personal matters, especially those involving family disputes. The lack of action has confused some people, but for others, it is seen as a way of protecting the dignity of the crown. Still, the couple's decision to step back from royal duties in 2020 came with a set of conditions. At the Sandringham Summit, where Queen Elizabeth met with royal aides to discuss the matter, an agreement was reached. One key part of it was that Harry and Meghan would no longer use the title, His or Her Royal Highness, in a working role. This meant they kept their Duke and Duchess names, but were not allowed to use HRH in official work or public appearances. It was a way to draw a line between their old lives and the new, more independent one they had chosen. But even with this rule in place, debate continued over whether even the Duke and Duchess titles should be kept. Another result of their stepping down was that Prince Harry lost his police protection while in the UK. Before, as a senior royal, he had received security paid for by taxpayers. Once he was no longer working for the royal family, that protection was taken away. The British government and the royal household agreed that it wouldn't be fair to give public security to people who no longer served the country in a royal role. This decision caused concern for Harry, who said he still faced real threats because of who he was and the attention he attracted. In response, Harry offered to pay for police protection out of his own pocket. He said he didn't expect the public to cover it, but wanted to use the same trained officers who knew how to deal with royal-level threats. But the UK government rejected his offer, saying that police officers are not for hire, even for someone born into the royal family. This led to a legal case. In 2021, Harry took legal action against the UK Home Office, saying the decision to deny him police protection was unfair. He asked for a judicial review of the ruling made by the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, the group in charge of deciding security for public figures. This legal challenge brought even more media attention. In February 2024, the High Court gave its decision. It ruled against Prince Harry. The judge said the decision to reduce his police protection was not unlawful. The Royal and VIP Executive Committee had acted within the rules and had followed proper procedures. But Harry did not give up. After the court ruling, his legal team said they planned to appeal. All of this, title debates, court cases, and interviews, has kept public interest high. The royal family continues to say nothing, but others are still talking. As long as Harry and Meghan stay in the spotlight, and as long as they keep talking about their past, this question is likely to come up again and again. But there's another big question. Can the royal family actually strip Prince Harry and Meghan of their royal titles? It's a question many people have been asking. And, if you're wondering the same, we've got the answers for you. Stick around as we explore how possible it really is. The truth behind royal titles. In the British monarchy, titles carry more than just ceremonial weight. They represent rank, duty, and lineage. The term prince usually belongs to someone directly descended from the reigning monarch, often a son or grandson. This title signals both their royal blood and their position within the family hierarchy. In contrast, duke refers to a noble status that can be granted to both royals and non-royals. While every duke is part of the nobility, only some hold royal significance. Royal dukedoms, such as the Duke of Sussex, are often awarded by the sovereign to male family members on major occasions, like weddings. The designation HRH stands for His or Her Royal Highness. It adds another layer of prestige and often indicates that the individual carries out official royal duties. This honorific is placed before the title, as in His Royal Highness Prince William. However, not all those born into royalty are granted or retain the His or Her Royal Highness style. It depends on their official role and closeness to the crown. However, these titles and styles are not automatically kept for life or passed down without approval. They are given by the monarch and can be changed or taken away in certain situations. A royal might be born with a title, but only the monarch has the power to grant or remove the HRH style or any dukedom. Titles come with responsibilities, and the monarch uses them to show approval, assign roles, or protect the image of the royal family. For example, Prince Harry received the title Duke of Sussex from Queen Elizabeth in 2018 after he got married. It was a sign of respect and trust. Still, the monarch, and sometimes Parliament if needed, has the power to remove such titles. Also, there's a clear difference between stepping back from royal duties and giving up a royal title. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle stepped back from public royal work in early 2020. They didn't give up their titles or cut family ties, they just chose not to represent the monarchy in official roles. This was a choice made willingly and agreed on with Queen Elizabeth, while abdicating is a formal and permanent action, like what King Edward VIII did in 1936. He gave up the throne completely and stopped being king. Abdication is rare and brings bigger consequences, including changes in who will be next in line. Stepping back might mean fewer public duties or less attention, but abdication takes away the royal role entirely. King Edward's story shows how serious abdication can be. He was the oldest son of King George V and became king in January 1936. But by December that year, he gave up the crown so he could marry Wallis Simpson, an American divorcee. The British government and church didn't support the marriage, and Edward chose love instead of duty. After he stepped down, his brother, King George VI, gave him the title Duke of Windsor. But Edward lost the title His Majesty and became a royal duke, not a king anymore. But the story doesn't end there. Wallis, even though she was married to a former king, was never given the style Her Royal Highness. This was a clear choice by the royal family to set limits on her status. Another case is Princess Diana. After her divorce from Prince Charles in 1996, she lost the Her Royal Highness title. She was then known as Diana, Princess of Wales, but no longer held the Her Royal Highness style. The decision was made by Queen Elizabeth and followed the divorce terms. Even though Diana stayed the mother of future King Prince William and was still loved by the public, she was no longer seen as an official royal. Losing her Royal Highness meant she had to bow to those who still had the title, including her ex-husband and even her sons in formal situations. But when it comes to who has the power to give or take away royal titles, the monarch is the main figure. Titles like Prince, Duke, and Her Royal Highness or His Royal Highness come from the crown. The monarch can give or remove them as they choose. However, if the title is part of the peerage, like a dukedom, taking it away might need formal legal action. Parliament may have to pass a law to officially remove someone's peerage. The House of Lords has only a small part unless a specific law applies. So even though the king has the personal and official right to give or take royal titles and honors, removing peerage titles needs legal steps and must follow certain rules. One key law in this area is the Titles Deprivation Act of 1917. Made during World War I, it let the British government take away titles from people who supported enemy countries. Some royal family members who had German titles lost their British honors because they fought against Britain. A good example is the Duke of Albany and the Duke of Cumberland, who both lost their peerages under this law. The law is still active today, though it has rarely been used since. It was created for serious cases like treason or helping enemy countries during wartime. So far, it hasn't been used on modern royals for things like stepping back or being linked to scandals. Still, the law's existence is a reminder that losing a title is possible if national loyalty is at risk. But here's the surprising part. In today's royal family, no prince has lost a title just for leaving public duties. Prince Harry, for example, still holds the title Duke of Sussex and is still a prince. His Royal Highness title is no longer used in official ways, but it wasn't officially taken away. He simply chose not to use it, and the royal family agreed as part of his deal with the late Queen. Other royals who stepped back, like Prince Andrew, lost public roles and military titles, but not their main royal titles. Andrew is no longer an active royal due to public criticism and legal troubles, yet he still holds the title Duke of York. These cases show that stepping away doesn't lead to losing titles unless the king or parliament takes further action. King Charles, as the current ruler, does have the right to remove Prince Harry's titles if he decides to, but doing this would have big effects. Politically, it might split the public even more. Taking away his title could look like a harsh punishment, especially at a time when Charles is expected to bring people together. It could also hurt private family ties and damage the royal image. Charles might hold off unless Harry does something more serious. If we ask whether Harry's actions deserve title removal, the answer depends on how past cases were judged. Writing a book, giving interviews, and stepping back from duty may seem bold, but they don't reach the level of treason. Looking back at examples like King Edward giving up the crown or royals losing titles during World War I, Harry's actions are not as extreme. Even Prince Andrew, who faced more serious legal trouble, has kept his title so far. This shows that losing a royal title usually happens only when someone becomes a clear risk to the monarchy or the country, not just because of a personal choice or family conflict. Many people believe that Prince Harry has been unlucky, despite being a prince. Do you agree with this view? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, click on the next video on your screen. You won't want to miss it.